Hello everybody, hope you're having a good day. So today we're going to talk about the major two applications that I see that people are using to invest in Sweden. One is Avanza and the second one is eToro. And what I'll do is show you a snapshot of both applications and try to show you how these two applications are different, what are the pros and cons of both these applications, and also which one I usually use, depending on what kind of investment I'm planning to do. So I hope this video will help you if you are trying to decide between these two applications and also trying to relate that with the type of investment you are planning to do. So this is Alsa Chowdhury and you're watching Define Disruption. We talk about investment, personal growth, startups, and disruption. So if you're new, please subscribe to stay updated. So as you can see here, this is eToro, and well, first of all, I'm showing you the watch list. So you can easily go in the menu and select your watch list, portfolio, or newsfeed. Later in the menu, you have the options to discover or settings and more. And you can also play with two different kind of portfolios. So you can see this real part here, but you can also get a virtual portfolio where you don't have to take that much of risk because it's virtual. It's not real money. But anyway, I'm not in that virtual part. I'm using the real portfolio here only. So I'm showing you my watch list. You see there's a lot of cryptocurrency here that I usually follow, and then I have a little bit of more stocks like Google and Moderna, and it's continuously updating depending on all the trades that's going on. So it's crazy to see how quickly things are changing in here. You also find profiles of people you can copy. So this is very interesting in eToro. What happens is if you are not so much into checking out different companies, checking out how they're doing, you can just select some person based on their profile and portfolio, and you can invest some money copying their portfolio. And whenever this person's gonna buy new shares or sell the other ones, you do the same because you're copying them. So you can just forget about your investment, and I think it's a beneficial part. It's really useful for people who are new in investment world and who are not into so much market tracking and looking for information, that kind of things. Overall, I would say people who are really busy with their life can also think about this. You can change the view as well, depending on how many months you want to see, how they did in the past month. So either 1 month or 3 months or the past year. What I also like about eToro is this part. It's basically a portfolio where you can invest an amount of money. Again, you can also forget about you invested here. The only downside here is you have to invest quite a big sum here. So you can just invest 100 krona or 500 krona or 1,000 krona here, you see. The minimum amount to invest is 10,000 SEK or at least $1,000, which is roughly 9 to 10,000, let's say. But this is how it looks. And look at the growth here, 968% since inception. This is crazy. I don't know what to say here. The only thing I'm thinking about is why on earth I didn't invest here, when I learned about cryptocurrency a bit. But anyway, I think we just gotta deal with that. So in different profiles, you get this profiles of companies, and for example, I just opened Coinbase. You can see their performance in the past few months or years. They just went through IPO. So you can decide if you want to invest in companies like this. I just clicked to subscribe or added this company in my watch list now. This part is pretty cool as well. You can see major companies and how they're doing in the market. If you're not following some of them, you can just quickly go and see what's the status of today's trade market. If you're not following some of them, you can just quickly go and see what's the status of today's trade market. Now this part here is mostly showing you people who are the most copied in the last 1 year, and you see the percentage of increase in their portfolio value. I think this is pretty crazy. If they get copied, they get paid as well. So it's win-win for both of you. And then the long-term investments, that's also pretty cool to see. the growths are pretty high when it's long term, and I think that makes sense. And the risk scores are usually high. I don't know, it's probably because I'm sorting them based on the return, and higher return means higher risk, so this makes sense. Scrolling down, and you see other type of investors, long short investors as well. Pretty interesting. After copy people, we're now going to the next phase, which is invest in copy portfolios. So the copy portfolio is another very interesting thing. As I just showed you the cryptocurrency part, here you can find a lot more. So it's not only crypto portfolio, as you can see here. You can find more about gain score. I don't know what that is, but let me just scroll down and see what else I can find. So I can add a few of these in my watch list as well. So I think this is quite interesting. There are partner copy portfolios, disruptive stock strategy companies. This is pretty cool. Each of these portfolios you can open and you can see, what are the major stocks they're investing in and what is the performance, let's say the past year or, the past few months. So you can judge a little bit about how these portfolios are doing. So the future payment is very interesting. You've got all kind of companies providing payment options here. Travel kit, 83% return and high risk. Well, it's Corona time, so I think that makes sense. I don't know why the fashion portfolio also has a risk profile of 7, but that's probably because what kind of companies they choose. So yeah, this is in general eToro. So you've got a lot of ways to invest in areas where you don't need to do a lot of your own analysis. You can just follow analysis being done by someone else or some other companies, and you can just invest there. Libra portfolio is also pretty cool, but it's the same thing. 1,000 USD minimum investment. So I'll think about this later. Pretty cool thing about eToro is you can actually invest in eToro, or you can send money in eToro from your credit cards, at least from Sweden, what I've seen. And that's pretty cool as well because you get the bonus in credit cards, But yeah, when you were withdrawing money later, it also goes in the credit card. So I think that kind of balances out the whole thing. Another point to note here is whenever you were withdrawing funds, eToro will charge you €5. So most of the time when I'm trading, I'm stopping trade or copying trade, it's not charging me based on my transaction. It's basically charging me based on whenever I'm withdrawing money. So if you're a person who is withdrawing a lot and saving money from your monthly budget and then just withdrawing it whenever you need some more cash, I think this is not a very good option because it will charge you more than most of the time what it will make. And it's not just worth it. But if it's a long-term strategy, then it definitely makes sense because then you were just, playing safe in this game. So that was all about eToro. The last thing I want to mention about eToro is when you were buying stocks. So one thing to remember, eToro works every day in the week, unlike Avanza, which stops during the weekends. But eToro, you can buy stocks during the weekend as well, which is pretty crazy, The second thing that I think I should mention is the buying and selling in eToro is not always dependent on what is the real price of the stock. So you can't just invest $50 in Apple, and that doesn't mean that you get, you don't see how many stocks you own. It's just you tell them that, okay, this price is going to increase, and you just bet on that. And if the price increases, you gain. If it doesn't, then you lose. So it's kind of different strategy compared to Avanza, where you buy the actual share and you wait for the price to go up or down. Now in Avanza, I think it's more detailed, especially the portfolio part, as I showed you in my last video. So this part, it gives you a very good overview of where most of your money is invested. And I think that's a very good overview. I think this is something that is missing in eToro, and they should really think about it. Another thing that I really like about Avanza is all the funds that is available in the Swedish market. In eToro, I didn't get that option. I think it kind of balances out by giving you more options to invest in the portfolio, the copy portfolios, because it kind of works like the funds. Based on my understanding. But coming back to Avanza, I think it also gives you a very detailed information about how a company is doing. Instead of just showing you the curves, you can compare it with something else, or you can look at the volumes of trade. You can look at the PE ratio and the volatility of the stocks. Everything together gives a very good overview of how a company is performing, which is not always the case in eToro. So I think in terms of information, eToro should provide a bit more on how a particular listed company is doing. But I also think that their strategy is to make you a fan of copy portfolio or the people. So in that regard, maybe this is not ideal, because the whole thing is for someone who is not into so much of analytics, but just trying to invest and being done for the day and coming back after a few weeks or a month and see what's up with the portfolio. So I think that kind of makes sense in this case. The amount Avanza charges you based on every transaction is also, it's not super high. But if you were having multiple transactions, then it's good to remember that maybe eToro is better than this because they're charging lower than that. For example, buying 5 Apple shares here, it's charging me around 3.28 USD. That is very close to the 5 USD eToro will charge me when I'm withdrawing the fund. I think one very important thing to mention here is the choice of available options. And if you were in the Swedish market, then Avanza mostly offers a lot of different kind of companies and stock options that is not available in eToro at all. So yeah, these are the things I think I found when I'm trying to tag Avanza and eToro. I think for me, companies where I like to do more analysis and I know about these companies, I would choose Avanza. But companies that I don't know so much about, or industries that I'm not so familiar with, but I know that it's doing good, I'll probably try to rely on eToro in that case. So that could be one thing. For a short-term investment, I would probably choose Avanza because it will not charge me when I'm taking out money from my account. And I'll probably choose eToro for long-term investments. But Avanza is also good for long-term investment. I wouldn't say that, because you are not basically changing a lot. You're not doing a lot of transaction when you're investing for the long term. And that makes Avanza a really good option as well. Another big part is eToro is available in English, whereas Avanza is available only in Swedish. So that could be a deal breaker for many of us, I know. And also when you were investing in eToro, it's usually calculating in USD. When you were depositing money, when you were withdrawing money from your portfolio, it's always calculating in USD. Avanza will do that in Swedish krona as well. So you are basically dealing with the exchange value of Swedish krona to USD, or vice versa. When you were using eToro, you can totally skip that with Avanza. I think that's all. So that was all about the differences between these two applications that I usually see. Now, it's definitely up to you, depending on what kind of investment you are planning to do, choose which app you should use. And both has its pros and cons, so it totally depends on you regarding whichever app you're going to use. You can also do something like me. I actually use both of these apps, and what I did is I try to use one for short term and the other one for long-term investment. I think that's also something that you can think about. I wish you all the best with your investments and have a great day.